From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. A new study has found evidence of aggressive behavior in children who drink 4 or more servings of soft drinks every day. Information for the study came from the mothers of 3,000 5-year-olds. Researchers asked the women to keep a record of how many servings of soft drinks their children drank over a 2-month period. The women also were asked to complete a checklist of their children's behavior. The researchers found that 43% of the boys and girls drank at least 1 daily serving of soda. 4% of the youngsters had 4 or more sodas to drink every day. Shakira Sulia is with Columbia University's Mailman School of Public Health in New York City. She worked on the study with researchers from the University of Vermont and Harvard University School of Public Health. She says they found that children who drank the most soda were more than 2 times as likely as those who drank no soda to show signs of aggression. The aggressive behaviors included destroying possessions belonging to others, taking part in fights, and physically attacking people. Dr. Sulia says the researchers identified the link after they considered socio-demographic factors, like the child's age and sex. They also considered other possible influences, such as whether the boys and girls were eating sweets or given fruit drinks on a normal day. In addition, the researchers examined parenting styles and social conditions at home. Dr. Sulia says it is not clear why young children who drink a lot of soda have behavior problems. But she says the ingredient caffeine could cause children to be more aggressive. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. China's Ep02 supercomputer has been rated #1 on the top 500, a list of the world's most powerful computers. Experts measured the supercomputer's performance at 33.86 petaflops, or quadrillions of operations per second. China's National University of Defense Technology developed the supercomputer, which runs twice as fast as the #2 rated Titan supercomputer. That machine belongs to the U.S. government's Oak Ridge National Laboratory in the southern state of Tennessee. Ep02 and Titan are part of the race to make supercomputers faster and more powerful. So, what is a supercomputer? A basic personal computer has 1 microchip at the center of its operations. This central processing unit, or CPU, carries out a set of commands as part of a pre-designed program. The first supercomputers had a few more CPUs. The number grew as microprocessors became cheaper and faster. Andrew Grimshaw is a computer science professor at the University of Virginia. He says many supercomputers today are called parallel machines. Instead of one CPU, they have thousands. These parallel machines are made up of many individual computers called nodes. They are positioned in one block. They use a lot of power, create a lot of heat, and require huge cooling systems. They also use programs different from the ones used by ordinary computers. Professor Grimshaw says anyone with enough resources can build a supercomputer to solve problems that require millions of mathematical calculations. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. This is the VOA Special English Economics Report. Businesses are structured in different ways to meet different needs. The simplest form of business is called an individual or sole proprietorship. The proprietor owns all of the property of the business and is responsible for everything. For legal purposes, with this kind of business, the owner and the company are the same. This means the proprietor gets to keep all of the profits of the business, but must also pay any debts. Another kind of business is the partnership. Two or more people go into business together. An agreement is usually needed to decide how much of the partnership each person controls. One kind of partnership is called a limited liability partnership. These have full partners and limited partners. Limited partners may not share as much in the profits, but they also have less responsibility for the business. Doctors, lawyers, and accountants often form partnerships to share their risks and profits. A husband and wife can form a business partnership together. Partnerships exist only for as long as the owners remain alive. The same is true of individual proprietorships. But corporations are designed to have an unlimited lifetime. A corporation is the most complex kind of business organization. Corporations can sell stock as a way to raise money. Stock represents shares of ownership in a company. Investors who buy stock can trade their shares or keep them as long as the company is in business. A company might use some of its earnings to pay dividends as a reward to shareholders. Or the company might reinvest the money back into the business. If shares lose value, investors can lose all of the money they paid for their stock. But shareholders are not responsible for the debts of the corporation. A corporation is recognized as an entity, its own legal being, separate from its owners. A board of directors controls corporate policies. The directors appoint top company officers. The directors might or might not hold shares in the corporation. Corporations can have a few major shareholders, or ownership can be spread among the general public. But not all corporations are traditional businesses that sell stock. Some nonprofit groups are also organized as corporations. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. You can learn more about business and economics and learn English at the same time at voaspecialenglish.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at VOA Learning English.
This is the VOA Special English Health Report. The journal Science chose an AIDS study as the 2011 breakthrough of the year. The study found that antiretroviral drugs can greatly lower the risk of spreading HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. It showed that infected people with early treatment were 96% less likely to infect their partners. The study was a clinical trial known as Ep02. Myron Cohen led an international team that began the study in 2007. But Dr. Cohen says the work really began 20 years ago. We had a strong suspicion, based on all the biological studies we had done, that when we treat people and lower the concentration of HIV in the blood and secretions, we were rendering them less contagious. But we didn't understand the magnitude of the benefit. Dr. Cohen heads the Institute for Global Health and Infectious Diseases at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases paid for the study. It involved heterosexual couples in 9 countries in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. The results have already had an effect on government policies. Those changes include treating HIV-infected people when their immune systems are still relatively healthy. Dr. Cohen says the study has generated policy changes at the level of the United States and the World Health Organization and UNAIDS. And it's inspired new community-based clinical trials that are just about to be launched that apply the scientific discovery. He says the results will be wasted unless they are linked to other areas of HIV testing, treatment, and prevention. If we don't know who's positive and negative, there's no benefit. If people aren't linked to care, there's no benefit. If they aren't provided drugs, there's no benefit. If they receive the drugs but don't take the pills, there's no benefit. So this cascade is now the focus of our attention. AIDS activist Mitchell Warren says, "For many years, debates have waged whether we should do treatment or prevention. The results of the HPTN-052 study actually affirm once and for all that treatment is prevention." The journal Science also recognized 9 other achievements. These include progress on a malaria vaccine and research on the DNA of our ancient ancestors. Another study looked at cells that have stopped dividing. It found that clearing them from the bodies of mice can delay some of the effects of aging. A link to the full list is at voaspecialenglish.com. For VOA Special English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. A United Nations agency estimates that 516 million of the world's women cannot read and write. The UN Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, says programs are needed to help illiterate women learn, although they are past school age. Women make up 2/3 of all illiterate adults. The majority of these women live in West Africa. Many girls in that area never go to school. But in Liberia, a new education program is giving women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s another chance to learn to read and write. Pauline Rose heads UNESCO's worldwide monitoring report on education for all. She says being illiterate causes huge problems in daily life. She notes situations like not being able to read directions on a medicine bottle or the number on a bus. Ms. Rose says illiteracy affects not only the women, but also their families, because women are often the main caregivers of children. She says when women are illiterate, they are less likely to use health services. Some countries, like Senegal, have improved women's literacy rates through government efforts. They tell more girls in primary school and community programs about the importance of education. But there are still many nations where less than 1 in 4 women can read and write. They include Niger, Benin, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Ms. Rose says these countries need literacy programs that target women. Liberia, for example, has launched a Second Chance literacy campaign to teach women. Liberia's Ministry of Education says 5,000 women currently study in adult literacy programs across the country. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Many sports competitions use cameras to help officials make the right call. Now, goal line technology is being used in international soccer. The move to goal line technology follows international pressure on football's governing body, FIFA, after a missed call in the 2010 World Cup. Video replays of a game clearly showed that England's Frank Lampard had scored a goal against Germany. However, that goal was denied because neither the referee nor the linesman saw the ball cross the goal line. The incident caused such an outcry that FIFA approved the development of goal line technology. That technology was used at the Confederations Cup in Brazil in June. Bjorn Linder is the chairman of Goal Control, the German-based company that won the goal line technology contract for this year's Confederations Cup. His team spent weeks in Brazil before the games as part of the FIFA certification process. He says the system has 14 cameras connected to a computer. Computers track the path of the ball in real time and reconstruct the play. The system sends a signal to the referees through their watches when it finds that the ball has crossed the goal line. Electronic eyes on the goal line may settle arguments, but the data is still only a reconstruction of reality. Goal control claims an accuracy of plus or minus 5 millimeters. This is well below FIFA's minimum requirement of plus or minus 3 centimeters. Goal line technology may become a central part of the sport. But it is still the referee, not the computer, that makes the final call. For VOA Learning English, I'm Mario Ritter.
These people are playing a sport called Ultimate Frisbee in Denver, Colorado.
When you mention that you play Ultimate Frisbee, they either ask if it's disc golf or if it's the sport where you throw a Frisbee to your dog. No, it's neither of those, unfortunately.
Scores like football, runs a lot like basketball, but kind of has positions and plays like soccer.
Ultimate Frisbee is basically kind of like soccer with a disc.
There are no referees or judges in Ultimate Frisbee.
Good game!
With Ultimate, there's something called the spirit of the game.
It is a self-officiated sport, so everybody's responsible for settling their own disputes on the field.
You can cheer each other on. Even the other team congratulates you on good play, and that's the way it should be.
It's awesome. So I bring my little girls, and they love it because I think it teaches them that girls can do anything. They can compete with men. They can beat men even better.
On this day, each team has both men and women.
This is a co-ed sport. Every team has to have 3 of each gender on the field at all times.
Age does not keep people from playing.
I'm a 50-year-old guy, and I could come out here and play and still be competitive against younger people, and I get a workout that I can't make myself do other ways.
I'm Milagros R.D.
Wow.
This is the VOA Special English Health Report. Tobacco companies are fighting efforts in the United States and Australia to make their products less appealing. In Washington, a federal judge recently blocked the Food and Drug Administration from requiring new warning labels on cigarette packs. Judge Richard Leon ruled in a case brought by 5 tobacco companies. The judge temporarily stopped a new federal rule to require large new warnings starting next September. These include color images, such as a dead body or diseased lungs. Simple text warnings now appear. Congress called for color images showing the dangers of smoking, similar to what Canada does. But the tobacco companies say the new requirements approved in June violate their free speech rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Judge Leon said the FDA could not require the new labels before a lawsuit against the government is decided. Some experts say the process could take years. The judge said he believes the cigarette makers are highly likely to win their case. He says the images are designed to appeal to emotion, rejecting government arguments that they are purely factual. He accused the government of trying to use the labels to promote an obvious anti-smoking agenda. The head of an anti-smoking group, the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, called the decision wrong on the science and wrong on the law. About 1/5 of American adults are smokers. The World Health Organization says tobacco kills nearly 6 million people worldwide each year. More than 600,000 of them are non-smokers who breathe other people's tobacco smoke. In Australia, tobacco companies want to stop what would be the world's most restrictive laws on cigarette advertising. Cigarettes could be sold only in plain olive green packages. Only the brand name and health warnings could appear. The new rule is to go into effect in December of 2012. Tobacco companies say the measure violates the Australian Constitution. They say it would unjustly reduce the value of their brand names and trademarks. Health Minister Nicola Roxon says the government is ready for a legal fight. She says the new rule will be a big win for families who have lost a loved one to tobacco-related illness. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. This is the VOA Special English Agriculture Report. Old properties and empty lots in cities and towns around the United States are finding new life as urban farms. Echo City Farms in Edmonston, Maryland, is located near shopping centers, car repair shops, and homes. The neighborhood is a working-class community. People do not have very much money, and they have limited access to fresh food in markets. Over the past 2 years, the farm has attracted volunteers from the community, like Marcy Clark. She schools her 4 children at home. On a recent day, she brought them to Echo City Farms for a lesson. Her children harvested rows of spinach, mustard greens, lettuce, Swiss chard, and carrots. It's important that the children understand the connection between the food that they eat, the soil, the air, the pollution, how all this is connected to their well-being, she says. Her son Alston agrees. You connect with the earth where your food comes from. You appreciate the food a little bit more. Margaret Morgan Hubbard started Echo City Farms. She thinks of it as a place where people can learn to live healthier lives. Our view is that what happens in a community influences the culture of that community. So our idea was growing food in a community and showing that you can have farms even in urban areas. Redefines what's possible in that area, in that community, and brings people together. Every piece of what we do here is a demonstration to show people everything about how to have a sustainable community, she says. That means not only farming food and raising chickens and bees, but improving the soil with compost made from food waste. 16 wooden bins are filled with worms. Their job is to eat the food waste and help make it into compost. Echo City Farms is an off-the-grid experimental operation. The farm gets its power not from the local electricity grid, but from the sun with solar panels. In winter, the greenhouses are heated using a geothermal system. Buried tubes pump air at underground temperatures, 13 degrees Celsius, into the structures. Vegetables can be grown all year. So once a week, all winter long, neighbors can come to the farm and pick up a share of the harvest. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. You can find 2 videos about Echo City Farms, including one about the composting worms, at voaspecialenglish.com. This is the VOA Special English Health Report. Uganda's latest outbreak of Ebola virus is the 4th in recent years. About 200 people died in the biggest outbreak in 2000. 37 people died in the last outbreak in 2007. Ebola is a hemorrhagic fever. It can lead to bleeding inside and outside the body. Symptoms of the disease include high fever, vomiting, and sometimes diarrhea. Other signs include weakness, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. Ebola spreads through contact with blood or other body fluids of infected people. The virus is often deadly. There is no cure and no vaccine to prevent the disease. In July, President Yoweri Museveni urged Ugandans to report all suspected cases of Ebola. He also urged people to limit their physical contact, even shaking hands. Yoweri Museveni said, "We discourage the shaking of hands because that can cause contact through sweat, which can cause problems. And when people are sick in hospitals with symptoms which look like Ebola, they should be handled by medical workers wearing protective gear." President Museveni also warned people to let medical workers bury suspected Ebola victims. He said, "Please do not take on the job of burying him or her. Call the medical workers to be the ones to do it, because they are the ones who can do it safely." Most of the cases in the latest outbreak have been reported in western Uganda. A World Health Organization official said the first cases in July were mistaken for cholera. But Dennis Luwamafa from Uganda's Ministry of Health says Uganda has improved its ability to identify cases of Ebola. He said Uganda is probably in the lead when it comes to dealing with hemorrhagic fevers in Africa. He said the diagnosis of the Ebola virus outbreak was done in Uganda. Dennis Luwamafa said although the disease is also found in nearby countries, outbreaks are not always identified. He said, in other countries, especially in some of the neighboring countries, many times Ebola goes unrecognized, and other times it goes unreported. He said in some neighboring countries, Ebola destroys whole villages. He said it then disappears because there is nobody left to infect. Ebola fever is named after a river near the first recognized outbreak. That was in 1976 in Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo. To read, listen, and learn English, go to voaspecialenglish.com. You can also find our captioned videos at the VOA Learning English channel on YouTube. For VOA Special English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Street children in Ethiopia say their biggest need is shelter. But a study shows that local non-governmental organizations and community groups rarely offer what the street children want. The international aid group Save the Children did the study. One of the researchers says the limited services provided by local NGOs do not match what the children see as their greatest needs. Save the Children talked with children living on the streets in 5 major cities, 3 regional towns, and 8 rural villages. The children discussed many subjects, including their needs, their health, and the risks they face. There are about 30,000 street children in Ethiopia. About 17,000 of them live in the capital, Addis Ababa. More than half of the children do not have access to shelter or enough food. They survive mostly on what they receive from shining shoes, selling small items to passers-by, and appealing to strangers for help. The street children face health threats. Research shows that about 30% are seriously sick, but most do not have any kind of treatment available. About 40% of the children may have been forced to have sex. The children believe that having shelter will reduce these kinds of risks. The child assistance group Goal Ethiopia used to provide shelter for street children, but it found that this discouraged the children from re-entering their own communities. The Ethiopian government is finishing work on a national social protection strategy. It will include new ways of providing support to families to reduce poverty and keep children off the streets. For VOA Learning English, I'm Mario Ritter.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. Some people say eating hot chili peppers can help you breathe easier if you have a cold. Others believe that chilies give you more energy. All we know is that people have been growing chilies for centuries. And there are plenty of different kinds of chili peppers to choose from. Want to spice up your meals with homegrown chilies? They need a warm climate. If you plant the seeds outside when the weather is cool, place a glass over them. That will add warmth from the sun and protect them from wind. You can also start the seeds in your home or a greenhouse. If you plant chili peppers inside, fill an 8-centimeter pot with soil. The pot should have holes on the bottom so water can run out. Drop seeds over the surface of the container and cover with a thin layer of vermiculite. Vermiculite is a material that can hold air, water, and nutrients. Then cover the top of the pot with a see-through plastic bag. Hold the bag in place with a rubber band. Place the pot in a warm area. You should take off the bag when the chilies start growing. When the plants have reached about 2 centimeters high, place each one in its own pot. When the roots show through the holes on the bottom of the pot, transplant each seedling into a 12-centimeter pot. When the plants are 20 centimeters high, tie the plants to a stick placed in the pot to support them. When the chili peppers are 30 centimeters high, pull off the tops with your fingers. That should get new branches to grow. When the first flowers show, give the plants some potash fertilizer. When the weather is warm, put them into 5-liter pots and place them outside. Make sure they get lots of light and water. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Name a website where you could find old pictures of camels carrying people to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and books about ancient Aztecs in Mexico. It is all found in the World Digital Library. Its collection is available on the internet. The library has 8,000 items, from whole books to ancient writings to music and photographs. There are 170 partners in 79 countries sending material to the World Digital Library. Partners include national or university libraries, museums, and other cultural organizations. The librarian of the United States Congress, James Billington, launched the WDL in 2009. John Van Oudenaren is the director of the library. He says Mr. Billington wanted it to include materials that are both interesting and important. Every item is explained in the 6 official languages of the United Nations: English, Arabic, French, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and also Portuguese. Since 2009, 25 million people have visited the website from 250 places. The greatest number is from Spanish-speaking countries. John Van Oudenaren says users include schools, researchers, and anyone interested. He was especially happy to hear from one teacher in New York City. She said it was wonderful to have a website where people around the world could find interesting and important items. Musa Marawe is a researcher for the WDL from Sudan. He works with all the materials that are in Arabic. Musa Marawe believes the library provides tools for understanding, especially among Arabs, Muslims, and the United States. Anyone may search the World Digital Library by subject, time period, kind of document, or area of the world. The website is www.wdl.org. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.